Thank you for watching the first video and welcome back. In the last video, I showed you how to find out what you are passionate about, how to test that passion in the market through the 10-day vlogging challenge, and how to find the right business idea using the Market Opportunity Map, or MOM. If you haven't, go watch the first video so you can get up to speed and then come back here. But if you have, then welcome to video 2 of the 3-part video series where I'm going to give you the roadmap on how to transform your passion into an online business. I discovered this when I founded London Real in a tiny flat and built it into a 7-figure media company. If you are interested in creating a life on your own terms, these 3 videos will save you years of blood, sweat, and tears. I wish someone had told me these things when I started London Real, so I could have saved half a decade of pain and confusion. At the end of the last video, I told you how I went from an excited and motivated young man to a jaded, stereotypical banker, eventually handing in my letter of resignation. After I quit my job, I was euphoric. I decided to broadcast my very first London Real conversation. And the first years were great. I was doing what I loved, had fascinating guests on the show, and London Real was slowly gaining a following. But I didn't have a plan. I knew nothing about YouTube, online business, or monetization. I actually didn't even want to make any revenue from London Real because I had developed a weird relationship with money. It represented evil to me, a hangover from my time in banking. I was now providing value to the world, and I didn't want to taint that by asking people to pay me. So I built London Real by muddling my way through, making every mistake possible. I got distracted by the latest tools and apps. I asked favors from London Real fans to set up technology, which took months longer than it should have. I even spammed London Real conversations on people's Facebook walls. It was exhausting. I didn't know anything about social media, so I listened to every possible expert. Each one gave me completely different advice. You should use Facebook ads. Start a YouTube channel and make how-to videos. Get on Instagram and go hard on the hashtags. I tried so many different strategies, it became overwhelming. I was posting things on all these channels without a clearly defined purpose. Then a guy named Gary Vee came onto the show and took my social media game to a whole new level. You see, Gary is the CEO of VaynerMedia, the fastest growing social media company in the US. He explained to me that social media is simply the distribution of attention and showed me how he used it. Watch a clip of him from our show.
I try to figure out what I think you're gonna do before you realize you're gonna do it. I know 45-year-olds in the suburbs of London are gonna be on Snapchat in 18 months, and they don't think that. And so what I do during that time is I figure out how to storytell on it, how to be a creator of content on it, how to monetize on it. So by the time everybody shows up, I know what to do.
I would like to teach you everything I know about social media. But one quick thing before we start, first download our free workbook and follow each step. That way you will get the most out of watching this. The first thing you need to do as an entrepreneur is figure out who your customer is and where they will spend most of their attention in the next 12 to 24 months. Next, it's time to start capturing that attention. When people ask me how, I always tell them to keep it simple. Focus on creating content for 2 major networks. Why 2? Because I talked to hundreds of London Real viewers and found out that most entrepreneurs try to be active on all social media platforms. This tends to produce mediocre results, which usually causes them to get frustrated and quit posting everywhere. Then they come to me and say, Brian, I tried social media, but I just don't get it. The key is don't try to be active on all 5 of the major networks from the get-go, because you can easily go down a rabbit hole. Pick 2 networks, get comfortable using them, generate some leads, and once your business is booming with customers, start expanding. So what two primary networks do we use at London Real? Well, we use a lot of video, so YouTube is a no-brainer for us. Twitter used to be number 2, but now I use Instagram. It's one of the most effective and fastest growing social media networks on the planet. I suggest you use it too. Once we applied these rules, London Real started growing. We soon passed the 100,000 mark on both YouTube and Twitter, which were huge wins for us. We had this massive following and it kept building, but there was still a big elephant in the room that for years I just didn't want to address. No money was coming in. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I believed that just being passionate and producing valuable content was going to get me there. But London Real was becoming unsustainable. All of my time was going into broadcasting, but no money was coming in. Yet my growing family needed to be supported. I felt irresponsible. Although I didn't want to listen, the world kept giving me a subliminal message. Turn London Real into a business. I had all kinds of fears. Will the content people love change? Will I still be passionate about broadcasting? Will people think I've sold out? Will anyone buy anything from me? At the time, transforming London Real into a business was an even bigger decision than quitting banking. If I just wanted money, it would have been much smarter to just stay in finance. And if this didn't work, London Real would be a failure and I might have to quit the one thing I was passionate about. But one thing was for sure, what I was doing now wasn't sustainable. Passion wasn't enough. I needed a product to sell. So I put all the chips on the table. I did a lot of drawing on the whiteboard, watched hours of YouTube tutorials, and invited successful entrepreneurs onto my show. And the most important lessons I learned were these two basic things. You need to understand the concept of a product ecosystem, and you need to define a clear success path for your product. Let's go to the whiteboard where I'll show you how it's done. Now I'm going to talk about two concepts I really love. The first is the product ecosystem, and next is talking about a clear success path for your product. So first, let's talk about the ecosystem. And a lot of people don't understand what I'm talking about when I first explain it, but you'll quickly pick it up. All successful companies have a product ecosystem, which means different types of products at different price points. This is an important concept I learned from my good friend Daniel Priestley, and all of you will have it when your business is successful. The first one is free product. All great companies create product that's free, that you can consume without paying for it. Super important to get people at the top of your funnel, and I'll explain more about this in video 3. Next is what we call your product for prospects, P4P. And I'll get into this very shortly because we'll be talking about your product success path here. And finally, there is the core product. And this is the one that a lot of early entrepreneurs, they never get their head around the fact that they can charge a significant amount of money for a product. And I'm talking about $2,000 plus. But we're gonna get into this more in video 3. So for right now, I really wanna talk about the product for prospects, but just understand that all great businesses have all of these products in their ecosystem and that no business can exist without it. You might start looking around you and see that big companies have all of these different products. Perhaps you can find them. If you think about something like Apple, their free product is actually the iTunes software that allows you to collect all of your songs in one place. Their product for prospects is actually the iTunes Store, where you can buy something for a few dollars. And their core product is their iMacs, iPhones, that kind of thing. But I'll get more into that in video 3. So let's talk about the product for prospect, because that's what I want to talk to you about. This is when your customer first pays you money for something that you're going to give them, and it's very important that we create a very good product for prospect. I mentioned social media earlier. We'll be distributing your free product on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. but the product for prospect is going to be something you're going to be selling. So let's go in to what that actually looks like, because it's got something that I call a success path. Now, this is your product for prospect, and first of all, it has a few attributes. First of all, you're turning your fans into customers. Very important. So the people would have heard about you on social media, like what you're producing and what you're talking about. Now they want to buy something from you. Super important to turn them into customers, of course, to make a business. The next thing it really has to do is over-deliver. I'm a big fan of over-delivering. So make it just absolutely incredible and turn your fans into your advocates, into the people that go out there and tell everyone how great your products are. So make sure this one over-delivers. And also what it does is it sets them up to buy your core product later, because they're so happy with this cheap product, they're like, okay, what else do you have that I can buy? So it really sets up your core product demand, which I'll get into more in video 3. And again, all great businesses have these products in the ecosystem, so it's important that you get this in your head right away. Now, what makes a great product for prospect? Well, it has a success path, and that takes a customer from a reality A to a reality B, and that could be something as simple as an 8-pack abs in 8 weeks, or I also like to think of the concept of a recipe. When you take things from a reality A into a reality B, you take them along slowly defined steps that gets them all the way to that final place. And this here is the success path. And a great analogy I like to use, path, is a recipe. Now, we've all done cooking at home, and we start with these raw ingredients. That's our reality A. And we want to turn them into this beautiful, delicious gourmet meal, which is reality B. Now, how do we do that? Without help from an outside source, you probably wouldn't know what to do with the potatoes and the celery and the raw chicken and these spices. No idea what to do. But if a business provides you the recipe, you can figure it out. So you're going to take the potatoes and you're going to throw them in the boiling water. You're going to put the seasoning onto the chicken. You're going to turn the oven on to 300 degrees. You're then going to put the chicken into the oven. You're then going to combine the potatoes with the chicken. Then you're going to stick it on a plate and serve it to yourself or whoever you're with. And that is a really good example of a success path. And it happens with any product on the market. Of course, in this example, it's a recipe. It could be, of course, the 8-pack abs in 8 weeks. But it's a clearly defined success path that your products take someone from a reality A to a reality B. And this is simple, but very crucial for the way that you're gonna think about your first product. Again, take someone from where they are and give them to another place that's very specific to what they want in life. And there's products for everything. It might be teaching someone how to change a tire, teaching someone how to learn Spanish, teaching someone how to break dance. There's products everywhere in the universe, and you need to figure out how you have to get someone from that A to that B. Now, here is the best part, and this is another point that many entrepreneurs, they make a big mistake because they don't test the market to find out if they want the product first. And that's where I love to talk about the concept of an MVP. Now, MVP does not stand for most valuable player, and it doesn't even stand for Michael Venom Page, the MMA fighter and our guest here on London Real. It stands for minimum viable product. And so what it means is that you put this in the market as simple as it has to be in order for it to be purchased. And oftentimes, you can create a product before you even develop it. So for example, I might create the greatest recipe known for man that takes your chicken and spices and potatoes and makes the best meal you've ever tasted. And I can offer this product for you. Now you might come and buy it. What I can do is I can create the product after you've purchased it. So I know there's demand, you've bought it, and I say, you know what, I'm gonna email that product to you in 3 days, and that way I can test the market to see if people really want it, and then create it after the fact. And it's something that I teach all the time to entrepreneurs. Find the demand first, create the minimum product and see if people buy it. That way you don't spend weeks and months of your valuable time creating something that nobody wants. And one of my students named Fahim Khan did this masterfully with his company called Halal Paleo. And here's a short video explaining to you exactly how he sold his MVP to his customers before it even existed.
Talk to me about this ebook. How much does it cost? And when you sold your first ebook, how long had you spent writing it? It's a trick question here, but you're going to know what I'm saying really quick here.
Okay, so I didn't even write it before I sold it.
You didn't write the book before you sold it?
No. I learned from the best.
That is the concept of MVP, right?
Yep.
It's a minimum viable product where you test the market before you build a product.
Yep.
And so what did you do with this ebook?
So we essentially we wrote down, we made an offer to our mailing list and said, we're putting this book together and it's going to be due on this particular date. If you purchase on a pre-order, you get a discount. And we provided access to a Facebook membership group, and also the first 20 pre-orders would get a direct Skype call once per month. And what we
guys are good.
Yeah, we're just trying to. So you can see the immense value. $7.99. The cost of that is greater than the $7.99 to maintain it. But what we're trying to do is give immense value and build that membership base. Yeah. So which will then, once we have that long-term relationship, we'll start solving the bigger problems our audience will be having.
Fahim built his business a lot faster than me because, as you can see, he knew exactly what steps to take. Like he said in the clip, he learned from others who had already achieved similar goals. Through this, he saved hundreds of hours of trial and error. It took me years to understand how to create a successful product. I remember making my first product like it was yesterday. After months of research, talking to experts and brainstorming, I launched the London Real Academy. I crafted a sell email for days, but when I was ready to send it, I just couldn't get myself to do it. I thought, what if all of this comes crashing down? It literally took me several minutes before I finally pulled the trigger and sent that email. But then the unimaginable happened. In the course of a couple of days, hundreds of London Reelers became Academy members. I was stunned. People sent emails telling me how they were waiting for this product for months. They were happy to pay me and wished me success with the Academy. That's when I made a huge realization. In banking, I used to extract value. With London Real, I was providing it. And in return, people happily gave me their money. I learned that making money and living with passion is possible. For the first time in my life, I found a way to deliver something people wanted to pay for. I created a business around my lifestyle. I was providing content I cared about and making a living from it. No boss, no compromises, no guilt. In the next video, I'm going to take it even a step further. I'm going to show you how I went from my first product to a 7-figure media company. I'm also going to show you how all the pieces of an online business fit together. After watching the third video, you will understand how any successful online business works and what you need to do in order to become successful yourself. By the way, have you filled out your workbook? If not, make sure you do, and I'll see you on the next video.